You can't group people experiencing homelessness into one category, that it doesn't discriminate. You have the woman who's living in her car because she's fleeing domestic violence. You have the man who lost his job, who made great money but was laid off and just couldn't get back on his feet. You have the person who's battling a substance abuse disorder.
Homelessness is a complex social problem with a variety of economic and social causes, which include poverty, unemployment, lack of affordable housing, behavioral health, or substance use issues, among many other factors.
I know in my heart I had like maybe 2 weeks left, and I just wasn't going to be here anymore. There was just nothing left in me, and without organizations like our Homeless Collaborative, it would be impossible to get off the streets and get back to a level of functionality.
We all tend to talk about the poverty level, but actually 34% of the families in Kern County do not have adequate income to provide for their family's basic needs.
Once you become homeless, it's almost impossible to get out off the streets without help. Each day, you're just trying to survive that one more day. And the next day it's the same thing. You gotta find food, you gotta find a place to sleep that night without freezing to death, And I slept in the dirt at night, on top of blankets in the dirt, whatever. When it rains, you can't get dry the rest of the winter. When it's hot, super hot, and you have no way out of that. When it's cold, it's super cold.
It was just overwhelming to me to see that people were going to conduct their lives living that way. And so when I had those two experiences, I said, I've got to do something. There's some way I've got to do something.
Homelessness is a growing problem in our community, as it is in many others. In Kern County, individuals and agencies have been brought together to target this issue through the Kern County Homeless Collaborative.
We had our first meeting, and there must have been over 50 representatives there in that room. And we started from that initial conversation, and that built us into formulation of the Kern County Homeless Collaborative.
This collaborative promotes a community-wide commitment to reducing homelessness, as well as streamlining efforts by nonprofit providers and local governments to quickly rehouse individuals and families while minimizing the trauma and other issues caused by homelessness.
When you're dealing with homelessness, collaboration is much needed to tackle the problem. It's not just one agency doing the work, but it's many agencies. The faith community, the government community, business community, to make an impact one life at a time. But we need everybody to be engaged in something like this to really make a difference.
A 10-year plan was established to guide the collaborative on its mission to put an end to homelessness in Kern County. This plan established 3 objectives for success, focusing on homeless prevention, housing stability, and housing development. The collaborative has been able to address these objectives by developing a homeless management system and coordinated entry and assessment system to track the numbers of people at risk and evaluate the effectiveness of the community's response.
Coordinated entry systems develop a coordinated response to homelessness. So no longer is it first come, first serve for the people who are experiencing homelessness. It's not about who they know or where they know to go to receive services. It's about responding to homelessness based on the person's vulnerability and the best resource to resolve their issue.
I think we have worked really hard at getting people into housing and working together. I think that we have really put effort into getting a by name list together and being able to get everybody that we come in contact with into a single database, a single list, so that we can then provide services.
Full implementation is scheduled for May 2018. At-risk veterans now have access to prevention resources through the California Veterans Assistance Foundation.
We've been fortunate to make a significant dent in the homeless population. We've housed, since 2010, over 1,500 persons have been provided housing. They're in permanent supportive housing now, whereas they were on the street or in the shelter.
The collaborative has also worked towards providing housing stability by using a housing-first approach. They formally adopted this approach in 2008 and have placed several hundred homeless people into housing since. The Housing First approach emphasizes placing people directly into affordable housing without preconditions. Not only has this approach been successful in ending and preventing homelessness, it has also resulted in significant decreases in the use of emergency medical and law enforcement services. A recent cost-benefit analysis found significant savings to the community through utilization of this Housing First model. Bottom line, it's more cost-effective to house the homeless than to leave them on the streets or in shelters. The number of permanent housing beds for homeless persons and families increased from 726 in 2010 to 1,933 in 2017. The original 10-year plan, set to sunset in May of 2018, is currently being revised to carry us into the future. The next 10 years will again be focused on homelessness prevention, housing availability, and housing development, with an additional focus on emergency and transitional housing, the implementation of a coordinated entry system, and building community support.
The issues of homelessness are very complex, and the solutions do not have one size that fit all. I see outreach as being an essential component to moving people towards the help that they need.
What we do on outreach is we try to contact those who are homeless in the community. We reach a lot of people and want to build that relationship and that trust with each individual so that it's easier to work with them. It takes about 17 contacts with an individual to engage them in services.
The coordinated entry system ensures that at-risk people are connected to appropriate services. It is a critical component for the Kern County Homeless Collaborative and other agencies to receive funding from federal and state sources. Future prevention efforts will focus on increasing access to employment through programs such as the Bakersfield Homeless Center's job programs. We intend to improve stability by increasing access to supplemental security income and SOAR technical assistance. Increasing permanent supportive housing will focus on additional resources to address homelessness in rural areas. Through Housing First programs like No Place Like Home, additional permanent supportive housing units will be created for persons living with a severe mental illness who are chronically homeless or at risk of chronic homelessness. Of course, none of these initiatives move forward without a wide network of support. The Built for Zero campaign provides assistance for directional and collaborative change.
Essentially technical support and coaching for communities. So as a community, we identify what our needs are, what our gaps are, and we have coaches through the Built for Zero campaign that help walk us through the systematic changes we need to make to achieve our goals.
The Kern County Collaborative recognizes that the homeless population is anything but static and will work tirelessly to increase resources and seek opportunities for change.
People are resilient and people do want more for their lives, and we need to be able to have the capacity to give them that, to house them, to support them, to give them that intense case management that they need to get back on their feet to integrate back into society.